So what is science? Because that might sound like a strange question to ask, because most of us think, we already know the answer, but what if science isn't a body of knowledge at all? What if science is actually a way of thinking? Because I think we've started confusing science with something very different. We've started confusing it with belief. Imagine someone tells you that a scientific study proves something. Now, do you understand it, or have you simply accepted someone else's conclusion? Because there's an important difference there. If I throw a ball into the air and I watch it fall, I can observe it for myself. My understanding is grounded in direct experience. But much of what we call scientific knowledge comes to us through other people, scientists, institutions, journals, documentaries, and headlines. And there's nothing wrong with trusting expertise. The problem begins when trust replaces inquiry, because science isn't a destination, it's a process. It's the willingness to ask difficult questions, test ideas, and to doubt our assumptions and change our minds when better evidence appears. History is full of examples where accepted scientific ideas were challenged, and progress didn't happen because everyone agreed. It happened because someone was willing to ask whether the accepted view might be incomplete in some way. And perhaps the greatest threat to science isn't disagreement, it's the belief that questioning itself has become unacceptable. And so this is why I think there's an important distinction between science and what we might call scientism. Science is a method. Scientism, however, is the belief that something must be true simply because it's presented with the authority of science. One invites questioning, the other discourages it, really. And as Carl Sagan once wrote, science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge. So perhaps the responsibility of every human being isn't simply to trust science, it's to think scientifically, because a civilization that stops asking questions doesn't become more scientific, it becomes more dogmatic.